Hi, welcome back to our classroom. In today's video, as usually, we are going to talk about the learning objective of this topic. Then, we will remember the concept of map groth and navigate around 4 key concepts that will help us to analyze better our students' performance and create strategies adapted to their needs. In this class, you will understand key concepts of map groth tool and interpret the student's performance to create strategies that support individual learning process. So, let's start remembering what is map groth. Map groth is a dynamic adaptive assessment that measures your students' achievements and growth in K-12, math, reading, language usage, and science. Now, let's start with our first key concept, adaptive assessment. The adaptive assessment is a personalized way to evaluate a person's knowledge, skills, and abilities by adjusting the difficulty of questions based on their performance. But let's see an example. Lola is the new math teacher of middle school. She wants to know if all the students in her class are at the same level of capacity to solve complex operations. An adaptive assessment will help Lola in this case to know if she can introduce new topics in class that require math abilities or if she needs to think of a new strategy to level her students. To design the adaptive assessment, Lola follows 3 basic steps. First, design 10 questions incrementing the level of complexity based on the first unit topics. Second, order the questions from less complex to more complex. And third, configure the questions with conditionals. For example, if question 1 is correct, go to question 4, that is more complex. If incorrect, go to the question 2, that is less complex. Read score. Map groth uses the read scale to help measure and compare academic achievement and growth. Specifically, the scale measures level in academic difficulty. The read scale stands equal across all grades, making it possible to compare a student's score at various points through their education. For example, this chart represents the read scale in a school math assessment. The questions are grouped by level of difficulty, starting with 131 and below as less complex, and ending with 191 and above as the range with the major complexity. In a student's exam result, we can see how the adaptive assessment begins with a basic and low complex question and the student had a correct answer. In the second question, the level of difficulty was too high for the student and he got a wrong answer. In the third question, the assessment reduced the level of complexity based on the performance and gradually measured the capacity of the student to solve operations, obtaining a read score of 181 to 190 due to the quantity of correct answers in this level of complexity. Zone of proximal development. The zone of proximal development is the space between what a learner can do without assistance and what a learner can do with adult guidance or in collaboration with more capable peers. Let's get back to previous example to understand this concept. The average range of complexity that works best for the student is located into 181 and 190. We could say that this is the zone that learner can do. But what could happen if the student had the guidance of his teacher? Supposing that the teacher had supported the student and solved his questions during the exam, remembering concepts and tips viewed in class, the student may have a high possibility to perform higher. In this case, we will say that the scale between 191 and 200 is the zone of proximal development of the student, because with assistance, he could have too many correct answers. Normative data. Normative data is information that describes what is typical or usual for a specific population, culture, or institution at a given time. It can be observational, empirical, or statistical. Normative data is usually gathered from a large, randomly selected sample that is representative of the population. The data can be used to establish a baseline distribution for a measurement or score, which can be used for comparison. As an example, in academic achievement tests, scores from normative assessments like SAT or ACT can be compared to normative data to evaluate basic reading, writing, and math skills. For example, a teacher can use the norm of standardized tests to determine if a score is within the average range. Now, it's time to remember what you have learned. We start the session talking about adaptive assessment. That is a personalized evaluation of knowledge, skills, and/or abilities by adjusting the difficulty based on students' performance. As a second point, we talk about read score, that is a scale that indicates the difficulty level at which the student is answering about 50% of the questions correctly. Then, we talk about zone of proximal development, that is a space between what a learner can do without assistance and what a learner can do with adult guidance. Finally, we talk about normative data, that is information that describes what is typical for a specific population, culture, or institution at a given time. You have done a great job. I hope to see you in the next class when we are going to learn more about learning and development concepts.